Hello dear students, last class we discussed about the prokaryotic transcription. There you have to remember two important points. First thing, the RNA produced as a result of transcription does not require further processing to become active. Okay? And the second thing is, in prokaryotes, there is no separation of cytosol and nucleus. So, transcription and translation can occur in the same compartment. In many times, the translation begins much before the complete RNA is transcribed. Okay, that means transcription and translation coupled in prokaryotes. Okay. But in the case of eukaryotes, some more complexities are there. Some additional process is needed. First thing is, there are 3 RNA polymerases. In prokaryotes, there is only one RNA polymerase which synthesizes all the different types of RNA. But here, 3 different types of RNA polymerases are there. RNA polymerase first, RNA polymerase second and RNA polymerase third. All the 3 different RNA polymerases have their own function. There is a clear-cut division of labor. The first one is RNA polymerase first. It transcribes rRNA. Okay? RNA polymerase second transcribes hnRNA. That is heterogeneous nuclear RNA. It is otherwise known as the precursor of mRNA because this hnRNA undergoes certain processing and after it becomes the functional processed mRNA. So it is known as precursor of mRNA. Okay. And the third one is RNA polymerase 3. It transcribes tRNA, 5S rRNA and snRNA. snRNA means small nuclear RNA. That means they have their own function. The second complexity is the primary transcript contains both coding and non-coding sequences. Coding sequences are known as the exons, non-coding sequences are called the introns. During processing, the introns are removed and the exons are joined together. This process is known as splicing. Okay? After, at the 5' end, methyl guanosine triphosphate is added. At the 5' end. This is known as capping. And at the 3' end, adenylate residues are added. Large number of adenylate residues are added. It is the poly A tail. And this process is known as tailing. So, splicing, capping, tailing. Capping and tailing helps to prevent the degeneration of the RNA and it also gives more stability. Okay? And after all these processes, hnRNA become functional mRNA. Now this mRNA can be transported to the cytoplasm for the next stage, that is translation. Clear? Before going to study the translation process, we have to understand what is genetic code. In replication and in transcription, one nucleotide produces another nucleotide. Okay? Because in replication, DNA produces another DNA. In transcription, DNA produces RNA. In both cases, nucleotides are produced from nucleotides. That means here they follow the strict rule of complementarity. But what about translation? It is the process of synthesizing proteins from RNA. That means nucleotide produces amino acid sequence. There is no complementarity. So, if there is any change in the nucleotide, it will surely affect the amino acid. That in turn affects proteins. Here comes the need of a genetic code which codes for a sequence of amino acid that determines the protein. Okay. And it was George Gamow who first told, since there are 4 nitrogen bases and if they have to code for 20 amino acids, it should be a combination of bases. And he told these bases may be a combination of 3 bases, triplet. Okay, and there are 4 bases. So in permutation combination we can write 4 raised to 3. That is 64 codons are there. Total 64 codons. Okay. Later, Hargobind Khorana synthesized RNA molecule with a defined combination of bases. And Marshall Nirenberg also created proteins in a cell-free system. And here one enzyme called Severo-Ochoa enzyme also helped in the synthesis of RNA in a defined combination of bases in a template independent manner. Okay, and later the checkerboard for a genetic code was created. You can see it here. There are total 64 codons. Okay. Now let us have a look on the salient features of genetic code. This genetic code occur in triplet form. That means 3 bases together codes for an amino acid. And I told there are 64 codons. But out of this, 61 codes for amino acid and the remaining 3 codons are known as stop codons. Here in the checkerboard you can see that. Which are they? UAA, UAG and UGA. These are the stop codons. These are not coding for any amino acid. Okay, that is the first salient feature of genetic code. Second point is the single codon codes for a single amino acid. For example, UUU. It codes for phenylalanine. It never codes for valine or arginine or any other amino acid. It can code only for phenylalanine. So the genetic code is known as specific and unambiguous. Look at the last part of the checkerboard. There you can see GGU, GGC, GGA, GGG. All these codon codes for a single amino acid, that is glycine. That means the same amino acid can be coded by more than one codon. So the codon is degenerate. Okay. And the next point is these codons occur in a continuous fashion. There is no punctuation mark in between. Okay, it should read in a continuous manner. And another point, it is universal. With some exceptions, in some case of protozoans and some mitochondrial codon, in all other cases from bacteria to human beings, UUU means phenylalanine. The same codon codes for the same amino acid. That is why the codons are universal in nature. And another thing, the codon AUG has dual functions. It codes for an amino acid. Okay, at the same time, it acts as the initiator codon. Which amino acid it codes? Methionine. Okay, so these are all the characters of genetic code. We already discussed about the mutations. Mutations are sudden heritable changes. It happens due to insertion or deletion of bases. And if a single base is changed, it is point mutation. You know that classical example is sickle cell anemia. Here, if a change happens in a single base or 2 bases, the reading frame from that point onwards it will change. But if there is an insertion or deletion of 3 bases or its multiples, then the reading frame remain unaltered from that point onwards. Such type of mutations are known as frame shift mutations or deletion mutations. Okay. So that is all about the genetic code and the mutation. So now we can move to the next topic, that is translation. Before translation, we have to study the structure of tRNA also. These things we can study in the next class. Thank you.